right. Welcome back to Planning Phase Syndicate. Thank you all so much for joining us for our last Universe Extended with Obi-Wan Kenobi, the show 2022, which I don't know if we're going to say is part one, if they're going to ever do a part two. To me, part two was episode 4, but hey, just saying, you never know. Tonight, we're going to be discussing the remainder of the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, and we will be doing spoiler alerts. So, it was not longer. It was, Judge. Okay, Nabi. If you have not seen Obi-Wan Kenobi episode 6, this is your spoiler warning. Churn off the show. I hope you don't, but churn off the show. Spoiler. All right, and I'm done. Now, before we get into spoilers, JJ, you didn't even comment on my hat. You missed it. Look.
I couldn't read that. Endor National Park. Nice. Where'd you get that from, bro?
I got it from Facebook. Like of all of these crazy, like weird things you see on Facebook, you know, that you get ads for, this was $20, shipping included. And nice. It's like, it's not a fitted hat. I 99% only usually wear fitted hats. I hate non-fitted hats, but instead of the plastic piece in the back, like it's got a Velcro strap that's cloth. So I was like, fuck it, because it's Star Wars. I'm getting it. It's very breathable. And I love it because I have a Star Wars hat now. So now you guys can't give me shit on stream anymore when I don't wear Star Wars shirts. I have a fucking Star Wars hat and not some ugly ass NYPD like Broncos hat.
NYPD Broncos. Oh gosh, yeah. All right.
Anyway, thank you all for joining Chris killing JJ's fake team that he loves. So this week's episode, holy shit, man.
Yes.
So so this is what we're gonna do. Before we talk anything about the scenes or anything, I want you to rate it and give what you liked about it the most and what you hated about it the most. Okay. And rank it based on all the other episodes.
The duel between Vader and Kenobi, hands down the best like collection of shots for the entire series. Definitely the most tense out of everything. It definitely felt, even though you knew what the outcome was going to be ultimately, it definitely felt that high stakes like feel for how they filmed it cinematically. Probably my favorite moment in the series overall for it. Lowest point for me was the initial part of this particular episode. They're trying to run away from the Empire. To borrow an Armada reference, they obviously had a brace token and a redirect token to tank all those shots from my ISD, which I felt was a bit like, okay. And then they're talking about, our hyperdrive is damaged and we need time to repair it. But then they drop an escape pod that has a hyperdrive and is capable of going to hyperspace. And I'm like, why didn't you just take the parts and just add them in? Like, you have a working hyperdrive there. Like, yeah. Yes, Navi, there was a lack of A-Wings. You're absolutely right. That's because Hera is still over in Lothal right there. She hasn't had time to get the A-Wings into order. So, but yeah, that was probably like the lowest part of the episode for that. But what about you? What's your high and low?
So my ranking for the show, since you didn't give a ranking, was my second most favorite episode. I will say the lowest point for me is Reva's redemption story. So I'll
disagree on that one, but we'll get to that.
Yep, that's fine. And you're 100% welcome to, because I've been stating this for 5 fucking episodes now. That is the one thing I don't like. I do like her character. I think she's a great character. I think she deserves all the screen time, 100% on board with it. I just do not like Star Wars' affinity to redeem fucking characters over and over again. And like, I would be okay if they redeemed her and spoiler alert, killed her off, but they didn't. They didn't fucking kill her off. Somehow she gets stabbed through the gut, doesn't go to Bacta therapy, finds a random ship, God only knows where the fuck it was,
I forgot
and
about
makes
that.
it all the way to Tatooine before Obi-Wan can get back there. Like, it's such an implausible. And then on top of that, she somehow, with the Force, can't fucking kill anybody. And we know why she can't kill anybody, which is why I think this is the stupidest piece of story arc, period. Like, it's like, fuck this shit. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I do not understand how she is almost a Sith but can kill nobody, but she had no problem throughout earlier parts of the show. But now, when it comes to the main characters that we know are not allowed to die, she miraculously can't kill anybody. And then instead of killing Luke, goes, "Oh, I got a soft heart. I want to become good again." Fuck that. Fuck that. The better part would have been seen. No, I'm not done, bro. I'm not done. The better part would have been if Obi-Wan had landed just in time and fucking shoved the goddamn lightsaber through her back again and said, I thought Vader could have taken care of you, but I guess not. So I'm here to do the job. Now, my favorite piece of the whole episode is Vader does not force choke anybody when he gets back to the ship at all. Like, nobody dies. Vader doesn't kill anybody. And you're like, Vader is so pissed off in the episode before he rips the fucking ship out of the sky, but doesn't kill anybody, which is not characteristic of Vader. That is not. Vader's temper. I just imagine Vader murdering somebody, which is probably good because the Grand Inquisitor is probably like the first person he would see and he would just lose his temper. But really the best part was him flying a Lambda. That is, and it's an X-Wing piece of my life that I want. I have Vader in a Defender, which we know fucking is canon. I have Vader in an X1, which is canon. And now I got Vader in a Phantom. Give me a re-release AMG with fucking Vader flying the Phantom. No crew slots.
The
Lambda, sorry. Yep, not a Phantom. Did I say Phantom, really? All right,
yeah,
Lambda. Fuck that. So give me Vader in a Lambda.
If we did get that pilot, what ability would you give Vader in the Lambda?
Nothing, because he doesn't do anything. I don't know. I think it would be. I think you would have to make him an I6. You would have to give him. I would give him 4 Force. All the Force can only be spent on offense, and the only way to recover Force is for him to actually take his own damage, not through hate. He has to actually damage himself to take it back, and then his special ability. What's that?
Similar to the child.
No. He has to initiate in phase, take 1 damage to recover X amount of Force tokens. Right?
Okay.
Like, it's not getting shot at. He has to actually damage himself. And the special ability that he would get is essentially he can spend 1 Force to roll an extra die, and if it hits, it gets automatically changed to a crit.
For me, I would give the Lambda the innate Vader crew, right? The caveat for this is that he can only spend his Force for his ability. So he would spend 2 Force. He have 3 Force. He'll have to spend 2 Force to choose an enemy ship in his firing arc, either the front or the rear, and they can either get rid of a token or take a damage. And that way, that limits it to once every 2 turns. And then he can spend the Force on defense if he wants. So he can't offensively use it. He can use it on defense, and I think that will work out.
But he flew that shuttle, right? We already have him as a crew because, he was in the Ahsoka book. He was with Pell in that shuttle, right? So I would rather see him as a pilot. He has no crew to make it thematic with the show. It's just him on that fucking ship. And, give him a bunch of Force and let him be an asshole bully, but let him burn himself down if he wants his Force back. Because he's angry. He's nothing but angry, man. He is lividly pissed when he lands.
Or you can discard your crew to recover Force. So you Force choke somebody and he gets a Force back.
There you go. All right. Fair enough. Discard 1 crew card. You can have 7 crew on your ship and discard 1 crew to recover a Force token. Oh, I love that. All right. That's 100%.
He's just flying around with a pile of dead bodies in the Lambda shuttle just recovering the Force.
He's so angry. He's like, I missed that shot. I'm going to kill you. Oh. All right. Hey, hey, we could write for AMG. So we should, the AMG should have a submissions like tab. Like they should just have a submissions tab.
Yeah.
God, do you know how much? All right, I'm gonna digress for 30 seconds. You know how much hell would have break out if they actually did put Vader as a pilot in a Lambda, and like that was like the new Lambda that came out. Like, do you know how many people would bitch about that forever and ever and ever? Because it's like, oh, we got Vader in a Lambda now, and we got Vader in the Defender, and the people would complain to no extent if that happened. But now it's thematic.
Yeah,
Ooh, can we
absolutely.
put like a clause in there? If chasing Obi-Wan.
Yeah, right.
Kind of like the Anakin, the Anakin Obi-Wan thing. Oh man, that would be kind of cool. Like, can we get an upgrade that gives us some sort of interaction between Anakin, Vader, and Obi-Wan? Just like we have, like, oh god, that would be so thematic. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean that would actually be kind of cool, right? Because you can have similar to how the Republic has with Anakin and Obi-Wan in the Ada 2, you can have a pilot that if they face off against a particular pilot, they get a certain ability to trigger. It's something that may not always happen because you may not always face that pilot in like in your list, but if it does happen, you get a bonus. I think that would be kind of thematic, kind of like a cool option.
If how about this? Think of it this way too, right? Oh, like so Deslin says let's put Han in a Lambda. All right, I actually agree with that. You want to know who else we could put in a Lambda that could
What
possibly
did
be in?
Phillies?
No, fuck Wedge. Um,
Shut up, Siberium. Hello.
yeah, I don't, whatever. I don't need Wedge in anything else. We have enough Wedge characters. I guess I don't understand why people like Wedge that much. Like, whatever. Like, great. He's an iconic character. Cool. I'm
He's
sorry.
Obi-Wan's uncle, bro. What the
I
hell?
don't care. I have no affinity to Wedge, I guess. Anyway, you know who I was thinking of, though, who might be in the Ahsoka show?
Barris.
Mr. Thrawn.
Oh yeah, that's right. Thrawn.
Get me a Thrawn. I don't know if
Yeah,
he flies a Lambda specifically, but he
not
flies.
that I can recall. No.
He does fly basically a command shuttle. That he's in a freighter shuttle. That's what he's in.
Yeah.
You man, give me
So
Yoda.
So not to trigger you, but I do want to address the Reba arc. Now, I know that I do agree with you with it for a bit that not every character or that doesn't always have to be a character that requires a redemption arc. I think that sending Reva to go hunt Luke and fight Baru and Owen in their home was a good choice story wise to go down that particular arc. I mean, she went in and half hearted, but I think the whole part of that was for her, and because they make several callbacks in the series, right, and throughout several episodes where they keep on revisiting her trauma of her experiencing Order 66 and seeing Anakin come in and murdering all her childhood friends that were in the temple, and that's a common theme that happens. And when she brings back Luke, she's afraid because she sees herself in Luke, and herself now as an older person as Anakin doing the same thing, and it causes that emotional trauma that she's become exactly what she feared the entire time. And for her to stop herself and make the choice not to go down that path, I think that was a better part of storytelling. Now, will they go forward and say, well, I'm no longer Inquisitor, I'm going to be Reba Kenobi? I mean, maybe we might see that later on. But I think just for a story piece telling part, I did like that they made that callback to that particular trauma that eventually turned her away from that dark path that she was originally following.
I mean, they
Leading to
foreshadowed
it,
it.
not.
They foreshadowed
Yeah,
that though. I mean, the
yeah,
whole Obi-Wan calling out, "Oh, hey, you're actually here for revenge," and it's like, oh man, oh man. All right,
yeah. Yeah, and for that part, I was like, okay, yeah, it wasn't like the best choice, but I still enjoyed the story portion of it, and I wonder if that actually will come to matter in Fallen Order 2. Um, but beyond that, going back to the long awaited duel between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader on that planet. Just the whole the cinematography that they did there, probably some of the best that we've seen across all of the Star Wars series, and we're including Mando and Boba Fett in there. Just fantastic the way that they play with the lights from the lightsaber, and just getting those effects of Vader just overwhelming him, using the Force to break the ground underneath him. I felt that they did have a big missed opportunity of Vader taunting Obi-Wan, saying, "Now I have the high ground."
Yeah, I
I
know.
really wanted that moment to happen, but it didn't happen. But Obi-Wan just coming back full swing into the Force, basically launching all those rocks, just barrage the hell out of Vader for that attack, and then causing the gash in the helmet, which later it does explain why Vader has that gash on his head in Return of the Jedi, and it shows that he got it from that Obi-Wan fight. That was a nice little piece of lore that they added on there. It was definitely a really emotional scene because like Obi-Wan physically sees Anakin and what he's become, and just seeing that regret. Ewan McGregor just acted that portion out just perfectly.
Oh,
It was fantastic. Just nailed it.
I agree. Like in all of the series, that was probably the best constructed portion of everything. I'll tell you, I like that scene, and maybe it's because we're all right. Maybe it's because we're old school fans, right? And maybe it's because like we've grown up with this, but that was so much better, like hands down better than everything the Mandalorian has ever given us. I don't care what anyone
Yeah,
says. That piece right there, and like the emotion on Obi-Wan's face, like
yeah,
just the like he's been having to come to terms with this for 5 episodes, and this is the culmination of that. And E.
yeah,
McGregor just like hands down, like what the fuck, man? You were my brother. What the fuck? And if we think about it, right? And I relate this to real life, right? And I'm gonna give a little bit of a personal example, not where I have force and use lightsabers against anybody, but I had a friend growing up from high school, and we all ran in the same circle. Him and I were friends. When he came down on his luck a little bit, and got a second DUI, he came to live with me when I got divorced, and I supported him. I took him to work. I did all sorts of things that help him out. And eventually, he basically couldn't quit drinking, and he had to leave because he was running from the law. Right. Long story short, he's been in and out of fits of soberness and non-soberness, and in the last year, he has not been able to overcome his demons. He's essentially just said, "I'm done." Right. And like like the girl he was with was helping him. He essentially wouldn't give up alcohol. He burned almost every bridge, lost his license again, and
damn,
became homeless. And we went, so I'm going to tell this is really personal. So last year in February, we went to get him because he had a suicide attempt, and we had heard about it, but the girl he was dating had left him, but he was calling her and was like not going to call the cops. So we rushed over to his house in the middle of the night to try to stop it. And in the end, he wasn't in the active phase of it, right? He had either was too drunk to do it or had nicked himself. So we took his ass to the hospital and tried to get him in a psych eval and to get him into rehab. But in America, we all know healthcare sucks. And getting him into rehab without him saying it just didn't work. It didn't matter. Basically they told us if we commit him or say he was attempting suicide, they will hold him for the weekend and evaluate him on Monday. And if he's sober and not suicidal, they let him go. And then he just goes back to his old ways. So we took him home, set him up, tried to help him get sober for a couple of months, and then he didn't want to. This type of a conflict, right? Like, I mean, he was a really good friend. We did a lot of things together, like a lot of things. Like, I mean, he lived with me. He's helped me out. I've helped him out. And now he's not recognizable. And I guess it's a little different, right? The dark side's different. Anakin is like flat out a killer. And in fairness, my buddy is not a killer. You know, like he's not out to harm anybody but himself.
Yeah.
But the reality of like having to have that realization, Ian McGregor. So long story short, Ian McGregor like brings all of that peace home, and then he doesn't kill Anakin. And to me, like for me, that's really big, right? Because it's like my buddy's in the hospital. We found out this weekend because he got so drunk, he passed out on the railroad tracks, and somebody luckily found him, and he's in a coma right now. But it's like you can't. It's the same thing. You can't let it go. No matter what you want to do, like he's still that part. It's like I can't actively help you because you're just destroying yourself. And it's the same way. Anakin destroyed himself. And but the reality of how they bring this all together, and maybe it's because it's personal for me, right? But the reality of how they acted this out and how this can relate to so many people's lives. Like, if that guy doesn't get some sort of fucking award for this episode, like that's a crime, period. Hands down.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what also really helped that particular scene is just the blend of James Earl Jones's voice in the mechanical part, and then also the actual voice from Hayden Christensen as Vader, like kind of blending in the words. It just kind of shows that blend of that character, right? That duality of that character, that Anakin, even though he says that he killed him and he's more machine than man, there's still a portion of Anakin in there. Inside of Vader, that's still there deep down inside, but he's still mainly machine, and you just get those hints of Hayden's voice blended in with James Earl Jones's mechanical Vader voice, which makes it that much more tragic, right? Like he's trapped in that world, and like there's in for Obi's eyes, there's no going back, right? There's never been anybody, to his knowledge, has ever come back from going that deep into the dark side and doing the things that Anakin has done, to come back to the light. Like for all intents and purposes, Anakin is truly dead, and there's no redemption for him. That's it.
Yeah, which we know because he doesn't redeem himself until end of episode 6, right? Like technically speaking, like he doesn't redeem himself, and I think you're right. I think but again, like that piece, like. If you think about this, right, and we all have to make split decisions and all these other things, he literally could have almost ended Star Wars by killing Anakin. Like that would have created such a redux on Pelp's forces and his ability, and that like. And this now we're talking like precognitive shit, because like Pelp can see in the future, right? And Pelp must have seen this and not stopped it, because the probability was higher that Obi-Wan's not going to kill him. And when we talk, like now, if we want to get into philosophy, right, and we want to get into like the really depths, like this is why I like Star Wars, because there is depths to these things that you don't always get. And there is like, this is somewhat of a magnum opus to some extent, right? Like there is a magnum opus of work being written to culminate all this stuff together. And like this ability to put Ian McGregor, Obi-Wan, in defense of being able to literally put one of the largest dents, and this is even better than killing a Death Star, into works. Pelp's never going to bring another Sith up as fast as Anakin. Right? It's just can't happen.
Yeah, exactly.
And he didn't for a morality sake, because in the long run, if you look at what the Jedi truly are for, it's hard to give cause to murder somebody. It just is. It's a hard thing for them to do, especially somebody that's been one of their own. Now, I will say, in normal life, like we should have. If he had made the better decision, like this is like where somebody could have killed Hitler and they didn't, and like somebody made a mistake. Somebody should have killed Hitler, a long time ago, right? Somebody should have fucking killed Vader, and he didn't. So, really, is Obi-Wan the bad guy of the whole Star Wars series? I mean, is that what we're gonna get?
I mean, I mean, Dave Filoni left the door open with the World Beyond Worlds, where they can pick particular point in time and alter the course of history. Like we wouldn't have Ahsoka alive right now if Ezra didn't go in and pull her from that moment. So I mean, who's to say that they can't reboot Star Wars by eliminating either Palp or Anakin or both?
No, don't do. Stop, JJ. You're now you're touching on. You're gonna stop. I don't want negative views for this video. You're gonna get like all the dislikes on
All
YouTube.
right. Side note, seeing Ian, oh my gosh, the Emperor coming back again, as it was just great seeing that hollow there, and then the way that he just kept like he just having that vague threat of like, if you don't keep yourself in line, Vader, I'm going to replace you. And Vader just completely backing down because he wanted to send probes everywhere to go track down Obi-Wan and try to like find him and finish him off. And Palp said basically just put him in line and says, this past is starting to bother you and I'm starting to have doubts about your capabilities. And then Vader's just like, nope, this doesn't affect me at all. He's like, I only obey the orders of my master, and just like to show that power that Palpatine has to control Anakin. With that, he didn't even have to like directly threaten him. It's just the thought of him like clamping down on Vader if he gets out of line, like just showing that piece. I think that was really cool.
Yeah, I agree with you. I like that too. And it was a so get this. So I don't know if you watched the Ian McGregor or not Ian McGregor. Yeah, if you watch the Palp
Yeah, the
panel
interview in Star Wars Celebrations. Yeah, I did.
They asked him if he was going to be in the show, and he openly said, not in the way you think. And
yeah,
he basically had, and so I'm telling you, so me and my son saw that, and like we're sitting there, and like I waited through the credits to see if Ian's name was going to come up. Like, is that really Ian? Because it doesn't look like him, but maybe it is. And sure enough, it is. And I was like, look, it is. That motherfucker showed up. Like he got paid his like $1 million to like make his 3-minute a cameo,
I'm sure he loves it though. He loves that character. He's so good as Palp. I really do enjoy it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. The other part that I did enjoy for the episode is just seeing Leia finally coming home, and that uniform that she puts on, which reflects the one that she wears in her Leia comic, and Obi-Wan giving her the holster that she actually uses later on. That was a nice like touch to see that, and I absolutely 100% have to find a proxy of that outfit that she wears for my daughter, so she could wear that for Halloween. Because
are you gonna be Obi-Wan this year?
Maybe if I could grow out my beard big enough, yeah.
You get a fake beard.
Yeah, but it's all sticky, Otherwise, I could be Ice Cube's son and go that route too.
Yeah. You could, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that too. You know the funny thing is, I was like my kids were like debating who that was, and I was like, that's Ice Cube's son, and they're like, okay, who's Ice Cube? And I was like,
God.
I was like, remember Friday and next Friday that I made you all watch? Yeah, he's the guy from that, and they're like, oh my God, like what is wrong with you? And then like it dates me because then it's like, oh, I kind of want to watch Friday again because I really love that movie. That's like one of my favorite movies. And like, I don't know why it is. Like, it's okay. It's not like the best movie ever. And like next Friday is like even more campy, but like, I love it. It's like, I don't know. I watched those movies all the time growing up. Like, I love Ice Cube. Like, I actually owned like all of Ice Cube's early albums.
Like, I watch Barbershop a lot. And I really enjoy that. I enjoyed him as an actor. He's really good. But yeah, so now that we finished the series here, where would you rank this among all the Disney Plus series so far?
Well, because we haven't had a Thrawn one. I would say overall it's probably my favorite, actually, to be honest with you. When it comes to Disney Plus ones. If we're going to start including the animated stuff, it's not my favorite. But if we exclude all the animated stuff, I would actually say it's probably my favorite in the long run of things. Like, I like The Mandalorian, yes, but this fits two bills without being without being like nostalgia bait. And I don't know, there's a specific word for it that we talked about on Boba, and I don't remember what that damn word is anymore. But
Mhm.
like on Boba, we talked about like the baiting and doing nothing but give us like throwbacks. This was not like throwback for throwback's sake.
No.
This
Mhm.
was development of a time period that, like, if we're going to not get new content per se, like with newer characters, this was one of my favorites. I mean, I won't lie and tell you that Moff Gideon is probably like my favorite bad guy. Um, and that's because I like that character Espinalza from like all like other stuff
Yeah.
he's been in. So like I'm a little biased there, but like
Oh,
like he's my favorite new enemy that we got.
oh, and
But
he's coming back for season 3, so that's gonna be good.
yes, and I'm excited.
Yeah.
And so like I don't know. I felt out of all the stuff that we've gotten so far, this is my favorite. Even over the Mandalorian, I think this was done better so far. I will tell you that Andor, like that Andor trailer is pretty bloody good too though. So
I'll reserve judgment until I actually see that particular series there. But for me, Mandalorian season 2, then this, and then Mandalorian season 1, and then Boba, of course, trailing dead last. So
yeah. And I will say my theory is going to be is Ahsoka will top all of them, but I like Ahsoka a lot. And it was
yeah,
funny because my kid, I was not hyped for Obi-Wan at first. I was a little worried that it would turn out to be like Boba and be nostalgic baiting. And I think if you go back and watch those other episodes, I think I say that. Um,
so now that you mentioned that, there was a scene where Leia returns, where we do see the Lancer craft in
yes.
Alderaan, which is really great because in Forces of Destiny, there is an episode there where Leia actually works with Ketsu and Sabine. So it kind of like lays the foundation that she did know them prior to the events of Rebels. So that's actually kind of interesting.
Yeah, and it will be very interested to see. I mean, especially, oh my god, and, can we talk X-wing? Like, can we get the
Yeah,
Lancer craft back? I don't know. How about this? Like, when you talk about like people coming back, like like, and I say I hate some of that. Like, what does Asajj do in the Asajj book? Right? Asajj comes back. So it's I don't know. I don't know. We'll
do you
see.
think that we'll have a reappearance of Kinlan Voss?
Yes, personally, yes.
That'd be pretty cool to see that.
I think we will, because I don't think the character has been written out per se during that time
Yeah,
period. So there's that possibility. So
yeah.
all right. Well, I feel very emotionally drained now. You're killing me. Like
Thank you,
I'm
Obi.
very sad that this series is over though. I'll be honest. So next week we will not be doing a universe extended. I do promise we really got to do these more often. So I don't know. You haven't read High Republic. You're reading the Thrawn series. I don't know if we do we go through the Thrawn series next? I don't know. So I'll tell you what. We will put a pin in what we're going to go over.
Okay.
But I think Thrawn just has to kind of be next.
Yeah.
But we have to
I
talk
mean,
about
we
how
could
we
go
want to
for
do that.
yeah, and we can go through the first 3 books, and then because I'm going through a 7C now, and then by the time we get through the 3 books, then we should be good to go from there.
Because
Hopefully,
I don't know if I told you, I'm reading the Leia book. I don't remember what it's called now, but I'm reading the one I'm on. Bloodline. I'm reading Bloodline right now. I finished all the High Republic books and I'm on Bloodline. I'm about 3 hours from the end of Bloodline. And I've already read the Aftermath books. I don't know what the only thing I haven't read Alphabet Squadron. There you go. I haven't actually read that one yet. So maybe those are the next ones I should put on my list. I really want to read that Tarkin book though. It's just I don't know if it's worth the money to invest. But I hear Tarkin's actually like a really like deep felt character that gets underlooked a lot.
I did read that one. That was actually very very enjoyable. Probably just slightly underthrown in terms of enjoyment. But yeah, he's definitely a good character. Just seeing the backworks of how the empire started, like um, like started forming, and the things that they used to kind of keep all the systems in line, and the interactions between all the moths and the grand moths and stuff, and just seeing that political intrigue, and for that particular book, it was definitely a good read. I enjoyed it a lot. Definitely better than Infernal Squadron. So
Okay. Well, I'll have to debate. Like I said, I got 3 or 4 hours left on my Bloodline book, which is actually, I was very surprised how much I like it. I was a little cautious. Oh, one thing we didn't mention that I don't know if this has been like a known theory and I've just always overlooked this, but like, what is Kylo Ren's name, right? And like, I don't know, but this feels like the way that they present it with it being Ben, right? Like officially just kind of like seals that this is after Obi-Wan. Like it
yeah,
gives meaning to that I didn't understand was there. And I don't read any of the comic books at all. Just
yeah,
as an FYI, right now I currently am not reading the comic books just because I don't have enough time or
yeah,
money either. Um but I don't know, that kind of felt like the especially when he shows back up and she sees him, like now she's fully aware as a 10, 11-year-old child of what the fuck's going on. And, you know, like how big of an influence, whether we see him and show up again in her life is inconsequential at this point. I think he's made a
yeah,
big enough splash. Like he has saved her life on more than one occasion now.
yeah.
So,
Exactly. Yeah.
but all right. Well, cool. Well, thank you everyone for joining us for our Universe Extended. We will not be doing a Universe Extended next week, and our show will be. I don't know what we're gonna do for a show because I forgot it's 4th of July weekend next weekend. So
We may or may not come back this
so
next weekend.
I won't lie and say we may not. We'll have to talk with Charles. We may have to do a show on Saturday. I am not around July 3rd, so we
Okay.
definitely won't be doing a Universe Extended, but the week after we will pick up our Universe Extended series, and we'll either be talking Aftermath or maybe we'll talk Thrawn. We'll just talk Thrawn. There you go. We're just going to do Thrawn because I've been biting at the chomps to do Thrawn. So,
Yeah, we got a lot to cover. That'll be the Saturday or the Sunday after the Planet Face Syndicate showdown. So that's gonna be a big episode for us. That's gonna be good.
yeah. Actually, yeah, so maybe our Universe Extended will not start till the week after that then. We're going to take 2 weeks off of this Universe Extended thing, and we'll come back because I don't want to muddy our discussion of our tournament. So in 2
All
weeks,
right.
we'll be having a conversation about Thrawn. There you go.
All right. We're good
Cool.
to go.
Well, thank you all for joining us tonight. Universe Extended will resume the second week of July, Sunday night, after our regularly aired show at 10:30 or 11, depending on how long it takes us to get through it. With that being said, thank you. Have a good night. If you have not yet, subscribe to our regular podcast. Just follow us on Twitch or on YouTube. Yeah, on
Yeah.
YouTube. Cool. Thank you all. Have a good night, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.